Hey everyone, Jordan here with Food Bevy, and excited to have you join for today's webinar, which is all about how to strategically use retail e-commerce. And so as we think about the different aspects of your brand, a lot of you are selling in on retailer sites, so like a Target.com or Kroger.com, or looking to do so. And for a lot of brands, you kind of just drop your product there or working with the retailer, and then you don't do anything else from there. But there's a huge kind of missing opportunity to leverage that channel where a lot of customers are shopping. And one thing that I even found was that 45% of all online grocery orders are happening through in-store click and collect programs or ordering online directly from the retailer. And so while e-commerce, direct e-commerce, I know is a huge goal for many of the brands who are on here listening, there's a huge kind of missing opportunity to really drive growth for your company. So at that, I'd like to introduce Louis Condon, who is with Pear Commerce. Louis is going to jump into really talking about this topic and some performance marketing opportunities for you and your brand to really take advantage of. So with that, I will pass over to Louis and we will jump right in.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. And thank you everyone for coming. I'm excited to talk about it and dive into it. I'm going to share my screen, so get through that. And then while I am, I'll just kind of say, I think it's good timing based on some of the recent sessions that Food Bevy has had. You talked about how to win in retail with promo match, and that was like physical store. And then you talked about converting e-commerce or home pages and landing pages. And it's kind of funny because we almost sit it right in between that as Pear Commerce. And like, how are you taking like the retail distribution and some of the D2C growth marketing techniques and modern digital performance marketing and bring them together? So that's what we'll talk about today. As Jordan said, we would love to have questions. I'd love to not speak up here for 45 minutes, especially just looking at a screen with faces elsewhere. So jump in. We'd love to make it as conversational as we possibly can, but I'll get started here. So I'll start with brief introductions of me and Pear, but mostly we're gonna talk about retail, e-commerce, and shoppable media. But my name is Louis Condon. I'm head of growth at Pear Commerce. I've spent my career at early stage companies. So one thing to note is I do not come from like a deep D2C or retail background. I'm an early stage startup guy. So I've spent time in ed tech, in an accelerator program doing venture capital kind of consulting. I was in InsurTech before this and had joined Pear about a year ago. And it was my first foray into the CPG retail space. So, I hope to learn a lot from you all as well. The reason I joined Pear is because I love the mission, and the mission is bridging this data divide between CPGs and retailers. And it's like this big, impossible mission that hopefully is going to have a lot of impact on CPGs. And as we'll talk about kind of the shopper behavior and technology as a point where it's a really cool intersection of retail and e-commerce that I think, I was excited to join Pear to capture on that. Before we dive too much deeper, just a quick agenda and level set of, we'll talk a little bit about kind of why e-commerce and retail don't mesh or why they historically haven't meshed, I should say. And then, the solution has evolved to be shoppable media, and we'll talk some solutions there and possibilities, and then tactics as well. And I've mentioned this, but we're at this intersection where e-commerce, particularly food and bev, is getting to a nice tipping point in terms of consumer adoption, particularly because of the pandemic. They said e-comm expanded 5 to 10 years, and while it's dipped a little bit, there's been kind of a fundamental consumer behavior change in how people are shopping for groceries, food and bev, in grocery or mass, and that's more of an e-commerce approach. So we're getting fun new acronyms: BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store. I read a new one, BOSS, buy online, ship to store. And these are, just the fact that they're acronyms mean they're more commonplace and something that brands need to react to in order to stay on top of trends and their market. So that's consumer behavior. The other thing is technology. Like before, we'll get into why retail and e-commerce don't make sense, but because of these issues, the technology has never been ready to do that. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about today does have kind of Pear solutions involved and shoppable media tools and technology to solve these problems. Well, I will get into some DIY approaches and some things you can do yourself. I don't want to speak to anyone about things you can't do. So anyone here, if you email me, even if you're watching the YouTube afterwards, send me an email and let me know you came from Food Bevy. And what we'll do is we'll give everyone a free shoppable link. So you'll be able to leverage any of the things that we're talking about here today. Granted, limited scope, but it'll give you a sense. You'll be able to build audiences and start running these performance marketing capabilities regardless. So keep in mind, as you're thinking through this, I'd love for you all to think of like, how can I use this? And it would be cool to do this or this. And those are the conversations we love to have as we're in an emerging market in an interesting time across e-commerce. So first, let's talk about e-comm and retail and why they don't match. Again, I'm new to the space, so this is just an observation based on my limited experience. But every time I hear brands, particularly emerging brands, talk about e-commerce, it's always direct to consumer or Amazon. But there is this whole, Jordan said 50% of sales are coming from retail, and retail e-commerce is getting more traction. Brand awareness is more important, and retail for a lot of brands is really important from an economic perspective, from commercial terms, because you're shipping by pallets and trucks instead of direct to consumer. You're not handling fulfillment. Your shipping costs have increased 40% over the last year. And more importantly, you're able to co-opt trust from the retailer. So a retailer vets products, and by being on the shelf, the consumer is trusting you as well. So there's reasons to leverage retail and to consider it as part of your strategy in today's world. And so what? Like, why do you care? The reasons we talked about, but it all comes down to sales and money and growth and brand building. So our mission: bring D2C growth, bring D2C performance marketing to retail profitability. I'm not going to talk about Pear too much, but I think the origin story of Pear is pretty helpful in terms of kind of setting the stage. So Eric and Alex are two co-founders. They met in college and founded Eat Street, which is a direct-to-consumer e-commerce business, food delivery. It's the country's 4th largest food delivery service, really using or focused on college towns. It's a 9-figure business. It employs, I don't know, almost 2,000 people. Still around. It's a successful company, and the way they got there was performance marketing. So what's the quote of like, I know half my advertising dollar is wasted, I just don't know which half. Performance marketing is able to refine that question a little bit. So you're able to run campaigns. I'll use Facebook throughout, but there's a variety of different sources, any ad network or other DSP that allows this. And so you're creating a Facebook campaign, and you're able to see performance in real time. You're able to see ROAS, a fun acronym, return on ad spend, essentially marketing ROI. And you're able to see what campaigns are working or not. And if they're not working, you can stop putting money towards that. You can stop wasting those dollars. And if it is working, you can redirect those funds to that, and you can grow. And the way you're doing that, you're building audiences, you're optimizing campaigns, you're using machine learning and big data based on actual progression through your sales funnel in order to know, again, what's working or what's not. And yeah, it was a large successful business, and a lot of that's the D2C playbook is kind of what we say internally are those things, and we'll dive into that quite a bit. But on the flip side, Eric's fiance, so like every good company, Pear is a love story. She's a brand marketer. She's worked in the grocery peripheral space and pet, and she was jealous because CPGs selling into retail like her didn't have the luxury of performance marketing. And why not? Because three main reasons. One, retailers are very regional. Even Publix with 1,700 stores is focused on a quarter of the states. You have a couple that are national, but by and large, grocery retailers are going to be very regional, which makes campaign management difficult. By region, by retailer, it's too much. And there hasn't been the connection to those retailers as well. To add on to that, inventory data is challenging to use. Like, why would you have a retail strategy? Why would you direct folks to retail if there isn't anything on the shelf. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of dollars, and you actually create more headaches than value, because consumers are calling and saying, I drove 15 minutes to get your product and it wasn't there. And what we've learned in enterprise companies is the customer service officer actually owns the store locator for that very reason. It's a headache causer more than anything else, but brands feel that they need to have it, so it's a check the box. So like with inventory data hasn't been there, but that's changing as well. But really, the gold star here highlighted in gold is you don't know who's buying what, when, where, or why. A retailer, bridges over to a target.com or a shopper bridges over to a target.com, and you don't know what happens, whether they purchased, let alone like if the ad is working. You don't know if they're repeat purchasers. You don't know what else they're buying. There's just not enough insight. There's not that same level of insight that Eric and Alex were able to use to build Eat Street, and D2C competitors are able to use to build Eat Street, or to build their brand. That doesn't carry over with retail, kind of until now. So the things that are missing with that data gap are these 3, 4, however many are embedded in here, core tenets of performance marketing. I'll talk about them briefly here, but then towards the end, when we get a little bit more tactical of shoppable media, we'll dive into exactly how these are used. But the first, you can build audiences, custom and lookalike audiences based on top, middle, and bottom of funnel activity. You can optimize campaigns, so run purchase optimized campaigns that allow Facebook and your other ad networks to get better automatically just by receiving that data. You can split test and run A/B tests and test copy and creative and know what's working and resonating with your shoppers. And that's what's going to help you measure ROAS. And you can retarget shoppers. So if someone purchased, I can retarget them with a coupon to purchase again. Or if they added to cart but didn't purchase, I can target them I can run an abandoned cart campaign against them. So having the visibility into what's happening with retailer is kind of the most important step, and what Pear is ultimately focused on in order to create an opportunity for retail e-commerce to actually become part of your strategy. So in short, today it's not only that you can't measure, but you can't optimize ROAS for retail. It's just the opportunities that haven't yet existed. I'll pause, see if there's any questions. It looks like we're good, but please do chime in if you have it. So that's the problem and the landscape, and what's evolved over the past couple of years has been the solution has been called shoppable media, or where to buy. And the history of that has been kind of fun. It started with an ad to nowhere, early Facebook days. Tide is running a campaign to their landing page, or Cheerios is running it to a nutrition page. There's no path to purchase. I'm interested in Tide. I go here and I don't know what to do, and the technology wasn't ready. Then we started getting more maps and creative and some APIs, and I can manually upload my store list based on what my distributor gave me, or I can start putting pins on a map to let folks know where to find me. And then we fell on where we're at today is this shoppable ad store locator world, and that's where most of the conversation is going to focus from here on out. So like shoppable ads and store locator comprise shoppable media as this solution for retail e-com. And what they are connecting your media to the retailers for e-com purchase, and then returning actionable data back to you. And we'll dive into that. So I've been talking in theory. Let's get a little bit more tactical and what does this actually look like? It is so here's the customer journey. The first step, any of your media, the most common, what we've talked about, a Facebook or Meta, I should start calling it maybe, ad, and that's where the shopper is going to bridge over. But it can be anything, any of your media. So it could be your store locator, it could be a blog, a recipe that you have with a button on buy now button, call to action on the bottom. It could be email marketing, or it could be posts on Facebook and responses to your posts, or free social media as well. Really anything that's hyperlinkable, QR codes, all of that, you direct it to the middle page here, which is the shoppable media landing page. We'll get into the breakdown of this, but you pick your creative and your products, and then kind of the shoppable media, the sweet spot is this bottom half, which is the retailer list. So, getting to the inventory problem, what's always issue of dead links or out of stock. So you don't want a bad customer experience. So what solutions will do is show you the retailers, and Pear will connect you to any retail eComm cart, essentially. I think we're currently integrated with 1,300 and easy to set up more, but connect with any retailer's eComm cart based on the shopper's geography and what's in stock. So if I'm out of region for a ShopRite, if I can't buy from a ShopRite isn't going to show up here. I'm based out of Milwaukee, so I might see Sendix, my local co-op, Outpost, Cermak, and Piggly Wiggly. But if Piggly Wiggly didn't have the inventory in stock, so we have proprietary inventory scanning as well, then it doesn't show up here. So the retailer list is only showing when a path to purchase is possible. The shopper will pick their retailer of choice. One thing we've learned, people have 1 to 2 favorite retailers where they have accounts, and you want to have that option available to them if you want to increase that sale. So they're going to bridge over to the retailer's eComm experience, whatever that might look like, and they're going to purchase. And then, that's great. The shoppability piece is, I think, important. It's valuable, but it's only half of the story. The other half is this third piece on the bottom, which is returning shopping cart and purchase data back to you. And so what does that actually mean? It's giving you a Shopify-like experience for your retail eComm sales. So it's full funnel down to purchase. It's attributable based on your UTM parameters, and it's that retail eComm sales data in real time. And then what we're doing that's also proprietary to us is tying those to conversion events. So that means we're able to tell Facebook, this person added to cart, this person purchased. We're not getting PII. A retailer would never give up PII, but they are willing to give up, this purchase events in exchange for the traffic. So we have a team that's directly working with these retailers, but we're able to tie these events to conversion events, send those back to the ad network, and then let Facebook do its machine learning, big data analytics, artificial intelligence magic that is performance marketing that we'll get into in a second. I'll pause again.
So Louis, this is something that I know we talked about, and I think for a lot of brands, they kind of think like, oh, why would I drive traffic to a retailer's e-commerce instead of my own website, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. I have some thoughts on that I've since thought of, but like, what are your kind of thoughts on when to use it?
Yeah, cool. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. I think there's a variety of places to use it. One is just the information and the data, right? Of knowing your retailers. What does behavior look like? What does add to cart rate look like? What does add to cart from purchase rate look like? I think the insights are just valuable because it's a different data set. It's a different consumer set. Two is depending on your product, D2C, particularly lately with supply chain, is expensive, and excuse my language, I've heard it described as a pain in the ass of fulfillment. So let retailers do that. We talked about the co-opting the trust of the retailers. I think that's another way to do it. And the flip side of supply chain and D2C growth is retailer profitability. So if retailer is profitable, which we've learned, at least our hypothesis is for a lot of emerging brands that is the case, then you're able to sell by the pallet and rather than individuals. And finally, which I have some examples later, is you can leverage better positioning. You can use the sales data to increase sales velocity, to get more shelf space, to show another retailer that you're attractive for that same consumer. I'm doing well at Whole Foods, Erewhon, hire me, or opposite, or whatever. So there's like a variety of aspects to it. Like, we're not at all trying to replace D2C, and D2C forward companies, we can be very supplemental to those efforts, but it's another data set that I think has some cascading positive impacts. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think those are great. One thing that I experienced myself with T-Squares and I see brands do is when they pitch to a new retailer, especially one that's in a different geography from where they're based, they pitch for, or they start doing like targeted Facebook ads that are based on a geography, but then that usually drops to like a add to cart or a a store locator page, but then you lose all data after that, like maybe a coupon page, but you can't really track. And this is a way to really track, I'm sorry, my daughter's here with me hanging out. It's really a way to track the conversion rate of those ads to retailers. And even though it's pulling from their e-commerce, it's pulling from their inventory. So it might not be associated with like an individual store all the time, but you're still moving a higher velocity of product through that retailer's inventory, which improves.
Yeah, I think sales velocity is big, particularly for emerging brands. You know, you get into a retailer, a Publix, and like you want to make sure it's successful. And if it doesn't go well, you're out. Like oftentimes there aren't those second chances. So being able to like ensure success, particularly early on, and show you're investing in the relationship, I think can go a long way.
And then Karen had a question on the middle piece on the Pear commerce portion. Are you able to show which the inventory levels of a retailer on that page, or does it wait until you get to the retailer's shop or product page to actually see the inventory?
Yeah, that's a good question. Currently, today, it is that is taken care of by the retailer. I'll let Eric follow up in the comments because I'm sure his mind's spinning. And as a startup, we love these types of ideas and suggestions, and that's something that we could add. So we'll consider it on the roadmap. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, I think we're good to keep going.
Cool. So we talked kind of history, context, like where we're at, what is shoppable media, what role does it play, and how are we bridging the gap? So let's kind of break down exactly what these look like. So we did the customer journey, but let's go through the product. So, you know, a shoppable ad, there's a variety of shapes and forms. What we recommend, the first thing you can do is pick your campaign. So do you want to highlight a single product? Do you want to highlight multiple products like we've talked about? Or a recipe or better together type of solution? You know, you're a jam company partnering with peanut butter, and you could sell both of your products together at Target and add them both to cart type of thing. What you do is you pick your creative up top, text, video, whatever you want, and then you can customize your retailers. So which one's important, which one's not. You can even include your own D2C to your earlier question, Jordan, as one of those options. So you know, you're essentially capturing any path that someone would want to go down. You've captured it. So that's the shoppable ad, and essentially what a shoppable media provider would do is give you a link if they were to create this in kind of the automated fashion that Pear might do, and you direct your media to that link, and then the experience goes through, and all of the data gets powered into a dashboard that you would get access to. So that's what, again, I'll highlight, I'll remind everyone of the free link. So everyone gets a free link here to say hashtag food bevy sent me or something like that. And we'll get you that. So we can set you up with a single item, multi-item or recipe type of experience. But if you wanted to do it yourself, like there's ways to do that too. And this is, I think, some pretty low hanging fruit for some brands that, you know, we'll see Facebook posts and even ads that are, hey, we're in Erewhon, and it's a beautiful image of Erewhon flashing on the screen, but there's no call to action, or it says shop now and you go to a store locator, kind of to Jordan's example earlier. What we recommend, or you could do pretty easily, is just, you know, have some unique call to action of buy at Target, put the Target logo up there and direct that link to the Target product PDP page, or, you know, target.com/search/ your product, or whatever that might be. And what you can then do is install that pixel, which kind of unlocks all that performance marketing activity. Pear would do this automatically, but you can install that pixel onto that button, and you can start building an audience of retail shoppers, of people who buy from retail. I mean, that would be specific to Target, but you could use that same pixel for a variety of different retailers, and you're building this consumer audience set of your retail shoppers. And the easy way, you know, you can just measure your results on the Facebook dashboard, see what's working, see what's not. I think they have A/B tests and things like that you can experiment with, but kind of do that direct to cart type of experience, and install your pixel, and you can provide a lot of value to yourself that way in a DIY approach. The other thing that's worth mentioning here is kind of the evolution of the store locator. So, you know, we talked about it, the V1 of the store locator is pins on a map. You know, you're uploading your distributor list, or maybe you have a list of some sort, you're pulling it from spins data, and you're basically kind of gearing the experience around physical store inventory, which I think inventory, as I said, is challenging, and that was probably challenging to use, and that's probably a nice way to say it, because it's almost impossible. The best data is 2 weeks old, and what they're doing, these providers out there, you know, a Spins and IRI and Nielsen, they're scanning POS, so point of sale data. They're scanning registered data for retailers. All of that scan happens. It takes a week. There's a week lag, and if there was an item purchased within your last pull, and you know, weekly pulls are the most expensive, monthly, and then quarterly. So it could be a quarterly update of if it was purchased, then it's available in stock, which I think we all know is not how people shop or inventory works. I've, you know, did a drive up order from Target.com, and between the time I placed the order and they picked it, it was already off the shelf. So that's why customer service officers own the store locator at a lot of these big enterprises, is because they cause headaches and hassles more than actual value, but something everyone needs. So what we see the store locator kind of industry market moving towards is more of an e-com focused one. So the experience here, you can see, you know, on the left-hand side is essentially the same tech as a landing page. It's the product and it's what retailers is it available for. You can do your D2C, you can do retailers, it's based on geography. You have the buy now buttons. If it's not there, you can have it out of stock. So I know it's an Albertsons, just not now, but you know, I want to buy it from Target. I click the buy now button, the product's automatically added to my cart. And more importantly, that data is returned back to you. So your users aren't hitting dead links, they're not hitting out of stocks, only showing a path to purchase when it's possible. And you're collecting this actionable data and sending the purchase events back to your ad network, where it's going to help you improve the effectiveness of your existing campaigns and better inform future campaigns. On the right-hand side, you know, we still have the physical store piece. I think that's still important and will be important for a long time. Pear, we can integrate with any existing, you know, spreadsheet or vendor that you might have. So it's still an option there, but you know, what we're seeing the industry kind of move towards is more of this e-com focused store locator. All right, so good. We're 30 minutes in. I've spoken a lot of context, and I think now makes sense to get more to the tactical nitty gritty. So would love for you all to throw questions, particularly at this direction. And you know, we love the what abouts of can we do this, can we do that type of thing. So, and again, you're getting your free link. So think about how you might be able to use this to grow your own business. But there's two things that we'll talk about, two main strategies to sell more. The first is going to be run performance marketing for retail. So we highlighted this in the beginning. We'll continue and we'll dive a little bit deeper here. There's four main aspects to highlight. The first, you know, I consider this the core building block of performance marketing, and that's building your audiences. So the audiences are who you're serving the ad to. And as I mentioned there, you can use it to create campaigns, improve existing campaigns, but then also inform future campaigns. So if you want a brand awareness campaign for a new product, you already know who's buying from retail, and you can use the audience that you've already built over a period of time to basically get a head start on the race. There's two types of audiences that you can build. One is custom, and that is individuals who have actually taken a specific event. I said it before, but like, we're not getting PII, so all of this is actually happening in the background. So all we need from the brand is, you know, what's your pixel ID, which we could help you pull from Facebook. It's relatively easy. And we are sending all of these events back to Facebook, who's doing this automatically. They're automatically building the custom audience. They're automatically building, and then you can use that to build the lookalike audiences. But custom is, you know, we have top, middle, and bottom of funnel audiences that you can build with Pear. Top of funnel is who hits the landing page. So the image up here, who's seeing that, who clicks your ad, who bridges over. The second is who clicks those retailer buttons. So who's adding the product to cart, next level of intent. And finally, with the retailers we partner with directly, which include Walmart, Target, and 3 of the Ahold banners, is who's purchasing. So you're building this top, middle, and bottom, top, middle funnel audiences that are based on specific people. We don't know, but Facebook does. And then what Facebook does is it uses its machine learning and big data analytics to identify patterns based on everything it knows. It knows too much about us, and it'll find out that people who like, what is this, sparkling ice, caffeine, black raspberry flavors have a disproportionate number of dogs, right? They're dog people. So it identifies dog people. And then what it's going to do is you could build a lookalike audience. So Facebook, here are the people who purchased already. Give me more people like that. And then it'll build a lookalike audience for you. And you can use that lookalike audience to serve your ad to. So give us a lookalike audience of people who purchased, and those people will have a higher propensity to purchase. Or give us who clicked on the ad and bridged over to the landing page. So it's a broader audience, but it's still better for you to start serving to that group of people, because you're already putting some definition around who you should be serving that ad to. And who you serve your ad to is kind of the bread and butter of modern digital performance marketing in my mind. Kind of part and parcel to this is optimizing campaigns. So I see the question, Grant, does it work with Facebook exclusively? No, Facebook's an example. This is any ad network or DSP, demand side platform. And we've worked with Facebook, TikTok, Snap, Pinterest, really any of these, they have these same capabilities. So Facebook here is just a placeholder for kind of ad networks and DSPs generally. And what they'll do, similar to lookalike audiences, is allow you to optimize campaigns. So think about it. Facebook is in the business of ads, and it wants to make more money off of your ads. And the way it does that is make its ads more effective. So you can set up campaigns designed for specific purposes. So designed for top of funnel awareness, middle of funnel, link clicks, or bottom of funnel purchases. And you can say, hey, Facebook, I want to optimize this campaign for top, middle, or bottom of funnel. I want to optimize this campaign for purchase. So what it does, because we're able to say, hey, Facebook, you can optimize, or these are the people that are purchasing, it in real time is going to start analyzing this. And once it gets about 30 or 50 of these purchases, it can start recognizing patterns. And then it says, okay, we're going to start serving the ads in real time to this group of people, or this type of people, or this people with these types of patterns. And in real time, automatically, without any work from the brand, those ads are automatically getting more and more effective. Facebook will say, it'll improve by 10x. We kind of see we've seen 6x, but probably the 5 to 7x is typically where the effectiveness of the campaigns can get over time, because it's compound interest. You get the data set, you start serving more ads to more effective ads to people with a higher propensity to buy. You get more people buying, you build a bigger data set, you get better pattern recognition, and that snowballs into more and more effective ads. And Facebook gets more money, but so do the brands and so do the retailers. And that's bottom of funnel. That's probably the most effective thing you can do to drive sales and sales velocity, which we'll get into in a second here. But you can do it for top of funnel too, right? You want brand awareness. You want to serve your ad to as many people as possible. Run an awareness optimized, the top of funnel optimized campaign, but use who's added to cart. Optimize based on add to cart. So you're serving to a broad audience, but you're optimizing based on the people who are actually clicking. So it's broad, but still refined to the point where it's going to be more effective, and you're serving your ads to people that have a higher propensity to at least engage with that ad. Not necessarily purchase, because that's, you all know how funnels work and the numbers get smaller and smaller, but you can still use this to make your ads more effective. Retargeting is another one. So using custom audiences, again, audiences being the building block, you can say, these people purchased, these people added to cart, and then you can follow up with custom personalized actions after that. So if someone added to cart but didn't purchase, that's an abandoned cart. And you can say, hey, specific to leave something behind. We all get these emails from D2C companies of, you left something in your cart, come back. Even retailers will do it. And we're now allowing brands to do it for retail sales via retargeting. So you abandon your cart, purchase again. Or you purchase once, let me serve you a coupon to encourage purchase again. And then you can start trying to build routine with and become part of a consumer shopping habit, rather than just getting trial or first purchase. And then the last thing is A/B testing. So, another core building block of performance marketing is testing what works and what doesn't. And one of the benefits is the real time or almost real time insights into what's working and not. Today with retail, you might get sales data. One, it's not going to be tied to an individual. Walmart or Target might say you sold 10 units yesterday. But you don't know where did they come from, who's buying, nothing about it. So A/B testing will allow you to get better learnings and understand that a little bit better. Everything from, is this copy or is this creative working better, or traffic sources, down to trying to set up experiments to learn, do people like, flavors or types of products, or, those types of things. And in the shoppable media solution, Facebook has this built in as well. So if you're doing a DIY approach, you can set this up there. But we'll give you, Pear would give you one link, and we'll send 50-50, 90-10, whatever proportion, predetermined proportion of shoppers to different landing pages. And then it's an apples to apples comparison. And with that, you can make quick decisions mid-campaign to get to the most effective copy, creative, that's driving the most sales, or whatever your desired outcome might be. I'll pause, I'll take a sip of water, I'll see if there's any questions, but that was kind of that was performance marketing. So, first you have the path to purchase. We created the connection between your media to the retail's e-commerce. Then there's the data return and what to do with that data. Performance marketing is, the foundation of that. With that foundation, you could start to build on sales velocity. But like I said, I'm going to take a sip of water, see if there's any questions.
I love that, Louis. Any questions from anyone?
All right, let's forge on. And we're almost done. This is the last little bit, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A. But sales velocity is obviously a hugely important thing for brands, particularly emerging brands, and again, particularly at newer retailers or newer partnerships. So we have a couple of capabilities, or you can do this yourself as well, to a certain extent, to increase or be specific about specific retailers, which is a bad way to say, have investment in specific retailer partnerships and be deliberate about that. So there's direct to cart, only if the retailer allows, if they have the tech set up for it. What a shoppable media solution is drive that cart, basically bypass the Pear landing page. So go right from your media, your ad, your blog, directly to the cart. So, in this example on the right, Oreo is showing an ad. I click on the button. The next thing I see is going to be Oreos are added to my Target shopping cart. So that's an easy solution. Second would be a multi-ad. So if you have, we could add 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 4 products that you could add all of those directly to your cart as well. And basically be, as I said, be deliberate about which retailers you're selling to, and invest in that relationship. The other thing shoppable media solutions can do is rebates and coupons. So Pear has an in-house rebate solution where essentially, if you want to give an instant rebate to any of your customers, we allow that. We handle all of the operations. You choose how much you want to give, you fund the account, and Pear will handle the issuance. Basically, if they go through the process, they give us their PayPal or Venmo email. If we are getting sales data from the retailer, which we only have select retail partnerships with, where we automatically issue the payment. If it's not, they can forward their receipt, similar to a Fetch or an Ibotta type of experience, and we will automatically parse that email and then send out the reimbursement there, which becomes interesting because at that point, brands are starting to collect email addresses. So you're collecting first party info for retail shoppers, as well as we can tie those to conversion events, so we can continue to build stronger audiences. And the other thing, you can also run coupons as well. Easy to turn on and off, or you can control with expiration dates as well. But set up a coupon where we can display a promo code. We can prompt a print PDF button to print out a coupon, or a variety of other ways to integrate with a quotient.com. A variety of ways to implement that coupon. But as you think about retargeting or optimization, like incentivizing that last mile in the funnel, coupons and rebates could be a really good way to do that. And kind of combine the last two, right? Run a rebate for target where you want to throw as much at target as you possibly can. Well, incentivize that, grease the funnel a little bit, if you will, and show up for that important retailer. And this is, I'd actually love to hear the group's thoughts on this. But what we're learning in talks with clients and partners is the sales data itself can be pretty valuable for sales velocity with a retailer. So, we're not showing that PII unless we're doing a rebate, but we're showing what's happening when, over what period of time, where. So we're knowing, you can start measuring sales velocity by retailer. You can even go to the retailer and say, hey, we're a good partner. We're putting $1,000 to run ads directly to target. Once things go well, you get good metrics and data behind you. You can go to those retailers to leverage more shelf space. I think I mentioned this earlier. You could use it to sell into a comparable retailer. So, Erewhon, you're doing great at Erewhon. Like maybe Whole Foods would be interested in that data and that pitch as well. And just for performance metrics, retailer check-in meetings, you're not relying on their data. It's more accurate real-time data set that you can use for any check-in meetings that you might have. But these are just some of the things that we've heard pop up along the way. Any feedback this group has, you all are definitely the experts and been in those meetings, certainly more than I have. So would love thoughts there. And the last slide before we open up questions is kind of piecing this all together. So shoppable media, we talked about all of the different types of instances that you can do. And again, we're going to give everyone a shoppable link to be able to do that. But where this really gets cool and where it really comes together is when you start piecing it all together. So you have top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel activities. You're setting up some tests and learns and experiments. So a campaign could look something like this. Like if we were to do 5 links, one is one is a campaign, it's evergreen. I'm putting it everywhere. I'm in my blogs and my emails. It's my top, 3 to 5 products. I'm optimizing for awareness or maybe reach, top of funnel optimization. And the purpose here is just build that audience pool. And it's always on, and we're just collecting this data. And we're using those audiences for the remainder 4 links here. One could be, a purchase optimized campaign. So we talked about setting up a campaign, optimizing it for purchase, and letting Facebook or any other ad network get automatically better at serving to people with a higher propensity to purchase. The audience you could use here is a lookalike audience of people who already purchased, for example. So a new set of people with a high propensity to buy, and that's optimized to increase the velocity and acceleration there. Then you can have another campaign. Let's say it's focused on retargeting. You could use custom audiences of who added to cart but didn't purchase, or maybe both, right? And retarget them with a coupon, or even just dedicated call to action, or we miss you, come back, or those types of things. And being kind of that personalized approach can go a decent way in terms of performance. Drive sales with direct to cart. So we talked about the direct to cart types of links for particularly important retailers at particularly important times, seasonality, those types of things. And then maybe you have a test and learn. So an A/B test to experiment with copy, creative, maybe a business hypothesis. We say A/B test, but I think we have one partner that had like an A through H test, or maybe it was even further. Like we can set it up however you want, and you can do some DIY stuff there as well. So I'll pause. That was a lot of, we started with kind of the context and some of the disconnect between retail and e-commerce, and then the introduction of shoppable media and the evolution there, and then some of the tactics of how shoppable media can be used. We piece that together into a big campaign, and that's pretty much it. That's kind of what we have. That's what we're working on a day-to-day basis here at Pear. We work with every single brand, big, small, startup, emerging brand, up to big conglomerate. We're working with a variety of retailers, from the big Target and Walmart and Costco, to the smallers, the price chop in the medium price chopper, the Sendix, the Coborns, the Sedona, like all of, and we have a retail team continuing to expand those partnerships out there. So we're fast, we're growing. We'd love to work with you in any way that makes sense. And again, you send me a food bevy, sent me hashtag, and we'll set you up with that free link. So appreciate the time. Would love to hear any thoughts or questions you might have.
Louis, definitely appreciate it, man. I know there's a lot there, which I think is great. As a reminder for everyone, I will send out a recorded replay of the session so you can jump back into those to learn more. But I want to open it up for questions. So we have a couple in the chat, and then either feel free to ask more questions in the chat, or you can raise your hands and I can call you up to ask in person. So a couple questions. Diana asked, does this work for orders through Instacart?
Yes. So we do. We have an integration with Instacart, kind of a second level integration, I'd say, of, we can first bypass the login page, so send directly to the PDP, and so you don't have to figure that out. And then instead of Instacart, we could do Instacart proper, but we also can break it down by specific retailer. So Outpost is my local 3-banner retailer. Outpost shows up rather than Instacart there. So we do Instacart.
Awesome. And then Dana asked, does it work with SMS?
Yeah, it works with anything. We give folks a link. So anything where you can put a link, you can direct a shopper to a Pear landing page and on to retail eComm.
Awesome. Steve, I'm going to get back to your question in a sec, but Martin, do you want to hop on and ask your question?
Yeah, I'd like to find out what your program with Costco, can you maybe just give a little bit more background on how that would work and what sort of feedback? Let's assume you've got a very specific area, the specific, you've actually got to know which stores they're going to a particular region. What was the most effective way to use your system to be able to drive people to there as opposed to just doing the demos?
Sure. So we're an eComm solution. So if it's available on Costco.com, we will show. It's on Instacart. So we will show it as an option via Instacart. So if it's available on, via the Instacart experience, Costco will show up as an option for us. If it's not available, then Costco will not show up as an option. So in terms of regionality, it would be automatic in terms of showing up or not based off if it was available via the Instacart experience. And then the second question, correct me if I got this wrong, but it's basically like, how should you use this to direct sales to Costco? And, I would probably set up a campaign where, one is kind of, let's say, evergreen, your top 3 to 5 products. We'll do all retailers, but could put Costco first always, kind of pin Costco up on top. Or maybe even like if we can incorporate a coupon or something like that, for Costco specifically, but do that, build audiences. I'd set up another campaign that was purchase optimized for Costco. So maybe even a direct to cart to Costco, collect the data of who's purchasing. So we do have that level of integration with Costco where we're getting that sales data, build those audiences and run purchase optimization. And then I'd put it everywhere. Depending on how important it is to you on your site's PDP, we have partners that will have like a buy near you button, or you could have a buy at Costco button directly on your product description page. And we would bridge that over to the experience. Gets a little tricky with regionality, of course, if PDPs are everywhere, and if you're regional at Costco, there might be some poor experience of out of stocks, but like that's up to the level of experience that you could create.
Okay, and then the other one was about couponing, as opposed to there are many formats. What your system of using a Venmo or other means is obviously saves a lot of time and effort for people to get their money. But how would it affect, let's just say we take an pen like a Sprouts, an example, and you want to get the results. Now, obviously, their system, they make their money by giving you an off-shelf TPR, and you're spending a lot of money on that particular area. So if you didn't want to go all Whole Foods, they just ridiculous. I think it's $7,500 now to do a TPR or feature on shelf. Let's assume we took those monies and put that into a campaign. Is that would be to look at the lookalike customers going to that particular retailer during that promotional period you want to run through your ads and then direct them to go and buy the product?
Yeah, exactly. We could set it up where it would be, you could build an audience specific to an individual retailer. it's kind of next level of performance marketing and pixel setup, but we've done it before. But yeah, you could build an audience specific to Whole Foods or Sprouts or whatever you want. Yeah.
We've been very effective with the geo-targeting, but one of the, we didn't use, even with not even doing a promotional coupon, we still got 100% lift. So we're thinking that with a coupon, that could really take it to a whole new level.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
What are you seeing, Louis, as the kind of those coupon redemption rates via that app? Because I know it can really vary.
Yeah, I mean, I'll preface this of it's a relatively early product for us, or it's kind of, I don't know if it's in beta or just leaving beta, but it's right on the cusp there. So I don't know if we have enough data to provide them. I don't know if we have a big enough sample size to provide meaningful data, but on the limited sample size we have seen, I've heard our co-founders say we've seen 5 to 10% lift on conversion there. So pretty significant.
When they sign up for the coupon, are you collecting their like email address up front before?
Yeah, exactly.
So that you can do like follow-ups with them. Okay.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, that's one of the underlying benefits of that. Of, you know, one, you're saving cash on a quotient.com or other sort of integration. Two, you're guaranteeing sales, but three, you're getting the first party data. So you're getting emails of people who actually purchased. Then you can start uploading that into Facebook and building a custom audience off of that, and like the cycle continues. So yeah.
I've also seen companies just in different means use a tool like that to do just free product sampling, right? So if you launch in a new retailer and want to push a lot of traffic there to move velocity for those initial like 3 months, pushing like a free product offer, you know, someone has to go into the store, buy the product, and then it's a rebate. They scan the receipt and get their money back. But that's a great way of really driving initial velocity and showing a retailer that you're committed to moving product off the shelf.
Yeah, and that's a fun example because you start bridging the eComm and in-store experience the same, and creating a path of purchase for both. Of like we have partners that will want to capture both. So it's a, you know, print and redeem in-store coupon, pop up, print, head to store, and then purchase there. But then there's still the eComm experience on the bottom. So yeah, that it gets fun with that too.
Awesome. And then Stephen, maybe you can follow up with any questions or any questions on like getting case studies. I know Louis can share some case studies.
Yeah, Stephen, shoot me a note. We'll talk.
Awesome. Any other questions? We had a couple minutes left. All right, Karen just asked one. At a SKU level, do you know how velocity for online purchases compares to velocity for in-store shopper purchases? Coming out of COVID, are online velocity stronger versus in-store POS?
I don't have a good answer for that, actually. We, you know, we're an eComm focused solution. We could partner with like a Nielsen to do a sales lift study or something along those lines, but we don't have good data on in-store velocity. If you do, we can compare notes and see what our numbers look like to yours, but we don't have good enough insight into that in-store. We're not quite that geared towards that as a solution. You're welcome.
Another question, sorry, can I ask you, how long does your system take for you if you're going to take a campaign and put it together, or typically by onboarding somebody to you and then getting the campaign? What is a typical time frame to execute?
Assuming we have good UPCs, which I'm sure everyone here has UPC stories of issues, and Eastern and Western districts having different stuff. But assuming we don't need to go through any UPC resolution issues, we can turn it around in a day, 24 hours with things set up. We've automated it. The inventory scraping and geolocation are automated in that process. So very easy to spin it up. If we do have UPC resolution, or we want to start building additional features or products, I think probably 3 to 5 days. So in any case, we're turning around links and we can get you set up with dashboard access, fully measuring, fully live in a week or less.
Yeah. And then obviously each campaign that you're putting together is obviously you price it based on whatever it is. There's no set formulation, or how do you come up with your ideal partner base? Because you say you deal with small companies and large companies. How do you come up with something that's affordable to somebody that's wanting to test your system out?
Yeah, that's a great question, Martin. And you know, one of the things we hang our hat on as a point of pride, where frankly, the bigger companies are paying 5 figures a month for this type of solution. But we have the technology to automate so much of this. So even those big partners are only partnering with big box retailers. They're not able to capture the long tail. So we're kind of on both sides, where we have this cool technology that can actually serve long tail of retailers and emerging brands. So what we do is we have a specific emerging brand program with unique pricing. It's based on the revenue that you have and kind of any other externalities. We like to price on a per campaign basis. So kind of the campaign, a 5-link package or so of what that would look like. We can do a la carte and things like that too. But to directly answer your question, we've got emerging brand special pricing, and I think by being a virtue of being here and part of the food bevy community is you would qualify for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Mark, do you want to hop on and ask your question?
Yeah, sorry. Copacker Problems. Good problem to have, I guess, is what I've been told with this growth thing. 2 questions. One, are you in Canada yet, partnering with anybody up here? And 2, do you have like a 1-page PDF of like what should we have minimum like on our side to optimize this relationship? Because I know we've started with a few tech companies and there's a bunch of stuff we didn't have in play, and so it delayed things, and then my investors got really upset.
Yeah, that's fair. Canada question. We are like good question. We're just entering the market, so we are doing the for the business model. There's 2 aspects to consider. One is the shoppability, so creating the path to purchase, and then the second piece is the partnering with retailers to get the full funnel data in return. The shoppability piece that'll be ready May 1st. I think we've said internally. So being able to connect with the Loblaws or Sobeys of the world, and then on the second piece, the data. I don't know. I will never ever predict again like the actions of a retailer and try to predict what they will or will not do on what time frame. But we're having active conversations with those brands, Sobeys, Loblaws. There's one other one I forgot, and then assuming Costco or Well.ca was another one, and then assuming Costco does well in the States, and we'll expand Costco as well. So we're just getting started in the Canadian market. The second question was, what do you need to make sure this is a success? I think it's 2 things. One is retail distribution, and that would be in the States at this point. So if you're not in retail, we're not a good solution to connect your to retail eComm. And more importantly, it has to be on the eComm sites. Like if you're just in store, which I know can happen with certain retailers, we're not able to capture that. So we're just like the eComm solution. So if you're on retail eComm, that's like at its base what you need, and you have products, give us the UPCs, and we can start creating these paths to purchase. The thing that would the not necessarily a requirement, but like almost there, all but a requirement would just be budget to put towards ads or media to drive traffic to the landing page and therefore to retail eComm. You can use the PDPs on your site or email marketing, or like there's a lot of own properties you could use as well, but they're just probably not as effective. So a little bit of budget and retail eComm distribution, and we're ready to go in a week.
Can I ask what's like minimum budget, just so I can forecast it for? Like
It's I don't know if I have a good answer. I don't know if I'm close enough to that, and it depends on the product and where you're selling. We kind of work our way back of what would it take to get 50 purchases. And Mark, we could talk about like some reasonable assumptions to back our way into that, because you get purchases, then add to cart, like back your way into add to carts, back your way into page loads, back your way into impressions, and then you can base it off of number of impressions. You can get like what a budget would be. To get it's probably, I don't know, maybe someone smarter than me in the room can comment in the chat, but it's probably a couple grand a month.
Just as a ballpark mark, it might be around like $3,000 a month to commit towards it.
Cool.
$2 to $3,000.
That's great. I'll reach out when my house doesn't look like a warehouse anymore.
They're almost up to the ceiling.
I thought that was a warehouse.
They might be by the end of the day.
Nice.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks so much, everyone. Louis, really appreciate you joining us for
Thank
today.
you.
As I mentioned to everyone, I'll send out the recording for the webinar so you can check back on anything that you missed. And I'll also include Louis's contact information and how to take advantage of the offer. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a great Friday and have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Take care.